On the sidelines of the conference, I also caught up with Uber's General Manager of Rides, Dominic, who's warning about massive job losses if the government's proposed gig economy reforms go through Parliament. Those reforms, if successful, would see penalty rates, overtime, minimum shifts and leave introduced for gig economy workers. Dom Taylor, always good to catch up with you. I just want to go to the government's reform of the gig economy workers. Now, it says that your workers should get a whole bunch of rights that they currently don't. Do you agree or disagree with the way the government's gone about this?
So, as you say, the Albanese government ran with a policy of reforming the gig economy in the last election. That should come through in the second half of the year as part of the broader industrial relations reforms. We remain pro-reform. We remain optimistic that the government can get this right, but we need to get this right. This is a once-in-a-generation moment to modernise the Australian industrial relations system for a modern type of work, and we've recently published what we think good looks like. What we think good looks like is maintaining the flexibility at the core of the job of being an Uber driver, whilst overlaying additional protections and benefits in the form of a universal safety net. We think it looks like a minimum earning standards, minimum levels of insurance, and making sure there's standards for how people can lose access. If we're able to do that, combined with flexibility, we will greatly increase the quality of gig work here in Australia and effectively create a hybrid between what's happening today and employment.
Okay, so penalty rates, holiday pay, superannuation, are they on the list of things that you could cop?
So in the minimum earning standard that I talked about, effectively what we want to make sure is for time that you are engaged on a platform, from the time you accept a trip to the time you complete a trip, that you're fairly compensated. We think that the Fair Work Commission's the right body to set those rates, and they will go through a process where they will look at all the different benefits and work out what are the right benefits for the sake of the gig economy.
Okay, but what I'm asking is whether penalty rates and superannuation and holiday pay would make it difficult to run Uber in the way it's being run today.
What I would say is we've done modelling to say that if we were to shift to a modern award style arrangement on par with employment here in Australia, that would result in meaningful job loss. It would result...
What are we talking? Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands? What are we talking?
Well, there's 150,000 drivers and delivery partners every month here in Australia, and we think that there will be a meaningful portion of those that would lose their job under an award-style system. So loss of jobs, firstly. Secondly is we wouldn't be able to operate in all areas that we operate today. And thirdly, that the price would ultimately need to be passed on to consumers. And so you're going to have to start paying more whilst the speed at which you get your food delivered or get delivered to your location increases.
Okay, so one thing that's happening right now is that the number of Uber drivers and delivery people is rising exponentially as the cost of living crisis hits families. So they're coming to businesses like Uber to supplement their income. That could stop if these reforms got up in the way in which you hope they don't.
Yeah, so in 2022, 7% of people used Uber like full-time work, 48 weeks, 40 hours per week. What we see is a large proportion of people are using it less than 10 hours a week. 20 hours per week is the average on the rideshare platform. And as you say, many people are using this as a secondary form of income as the cost of living pressure plays out. If we were to move to employment with shifts, people can't do that anymore under the new arrangement. And so what we hear from drivers is 9 out of 10 won't use Uber to make money anymore if we lose the flexibility that is inherent in the platform today.
And that means many families may struggle to cope if all of a sudden that work is not there for them, or if the work is priced out.
Exactly, 150,000 people every month. Last year we paid $3.8 billion into the bank accounts of Australian drivers and delivery partners. The risks are real here if we get this wrong. And so that's why we have to make sure over the coming months as reforms are brought to Parliament that we are able to find that balance between flexibility and protections in a way that carefully balances each part of the business.